Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out VeChain's price chart. And unfortunately, in the short term, I'm not seeing necessarily optimistic signs, suggesting maybe our move down is going to continue a little bit. Also, in today's update, I'm actually going to show you a bullish count that may end up happening very soon, even maybe starting from the current point, but you shouldn't necessarily be fooled by it. So, are you ready? Let's zoom in and see what is going on. And if you remember, the last time that we talked about VeChain, we were right around this area, and the idea was that this is a beautiful looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave on the upside, which can be a great sign suggesting maybe in VeChain we have hit the low of our correction right in here, and from this point we are going to be on our way to have a beautiful uptrend. But nothing goes up or down in a straight line. In fact, even Elliott's Wave suggests after completing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we are going to have a move on the downside. But the move itself, like we also said in the previous update, is not really that important. What really matters is the shape of the move. And Elliott's Wave suggests if you want to be bullish, you need to see a very slow and choppy move down in form of a correction structure. And that, my friends, is exactly why in the previous update, we talked about the possibility of having, I don't know, maybe an ABC zigzag into a wave W, correction for wave X, and maybe we're going to have like another move on the downside into our wave Y. So what happened? Unfortunately, what we pretty much expected, but now we need to adjust the waves a little bit. So the idea in the last update in VeChain was that we are on our way to complete a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what happens next? We are probably going to have a move on the upside, but maybe that's going to be in form of a correction structure. And I think this 5 wave down actually extended quite a bit, and the end of our wave 3 now is going to be right around this area, followed by correction for 4, another move down into wave 5, and this can be absolutely on a higher degree into an A leg, followed by probably, I'm going to say, an A B in form of a running flat, another move into C, and this is another move on the downside into a larger degree wave C. Now, what is going on starting from here? In my view, there's a very high chance that we are having 5 up into A2, but this point and not here, followed by a correction structure down into wave B, another 5 wave on the upside into our C leg. I guess you can also consider the end of your B leg right in here. Doesn't really make a difference. And what is happening from this point? Here's the situation. I think we can all agree that starting from this high, this is a beautiful looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down, followed by that actually is the real question. What is going on? You see, in my view, we should consider overall the possibility of having an ABC zigzag in the recent phase down, which suggests we're gonna have for our subwaves 5 down into A, correction for wave B, let's say ABC, and yet another 5 wave on the downside into waves. Let's go on the live chart. Okay, so here's the thing. I do see an argument for this move on the upside from here to about this point being like a WXY in form of a double zigzag, and then maybe this is going to be like, I don't know, maybe wave 1 to about here, correction for wave 2, another move down into wave 3, correction for 4, and we may have in the short term another small move down into our wave 5, and that will be it, the end of this whole ABC zigzag, which suggests on a higher degree, what do you have? Most likely a great looking WXY in form of a double zigzag. Now, this scenario indicates that in the short term, maybe in the next 24 to about 48 hours, this move down can continue a little bit, but surely we are at the end of our move on the downside. However, I'm not necessarily a big fan of this count. Why? You see, in an ABC zigzag for our wave A and C, in most cases, we are going to witness some strong moves on the downside. And if you want to say this is actually into our C leg, well, when you compare it to this move down, doesn't really seem that strong, does it? So that is making me say maybe in VeChain we are having a correction structure actually starting from this point. Now, before we get into what is happening here, let's go around this area. Okay, you see, if you want to be bullish on any chart and you want to say maybe we have hit the lows, then okay, you need to be able to find off of the lowest low in this region a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. This specific example is called an impulsive movement. Rules for it are we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave wave 3 should not be the smallest wave. And in terms of the sub waves, you probably know it if you are a regular viewer of the channel. 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. And for our corrections, doesn't really matter. Let's say WXY into wave 2 and yep, an ABC into wave 4. Let's go in here. Okay, here's the thing. If you want to be optimistic in VeChain, then okay, naturally, like we said earlier, you need to see soon, maybe like after having another move down, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I'm here to tell you, even if we get this thing, we shouldn't be at that point overwhelmingly optimistic, because on a higher degree, we may end up having an ABC expanded flat, which looks like this. This is our initial move up into a correction into wave B, which in it we are going to take this initial low, and then another move up into wave C, and in it we are going to take the height of our A leg. And in terms of the sub waves, this is the key, pay attention. ABC into A, ABC down into B, and guess what? A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up into our C leg. And since in this area the lowest low is actually this point, and off of it we do have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is actually going to trick a lot of people into believing that, you know what, maybe we have hit the lows and this is like an extremely bullish sign. But on the other hand, you need to consider the possibility of having an ABC flat. And again, in VeChain, if we get a 5 up in here, well, maybe a correction is started from this point and it's going to be in form of a flat into wave B. And what's next? You know the answer. We are going to have probably another decent move down into our C leg. This, in my view, is a very, very important point that for the next, I'm going to say maybe week or two, we need to pay full attention. Because let's be honest, if the markets were so easy to predict, but okay, every single trader would have been millionaires by now. But the story is sort of kind of unfortunately the opposite. Most traders are actually losing money in this space, and it doesn't really matter whether it's going to be crypto market, commodity market, maybe even forex market. No, 95+% of traders do actually end up losing their money and leaving the market for these very, very important reasons. They think that they know a lot, but the truth is the market always knows better than them. So what's the conclusion in here in VeChain? In my view, as long as we are not taking this slowdown here about 2.1 cents, we are allowed to be very much optimistic and consider the possibility of having a correction down in here. Before that, a 5 wave up, meaning what? Overall, this might be a great bullish setup, and on a higher degree, this can be a 1 correction for 2. And what's next if this scenario is in play? You know the answer, a strong move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. As long as we are not taking this low, we are allowed to think about discount as our primary case. But this doesn't mean that from the current point, we should like 100% get a very strong bounce back in order to start the next phase of this beautiful uptrend. I think, in my view, that is a little bit unreasonable to think. In fact, in the short term, seems like most signs do suggest that our move down is going to actually continue. And if we get a 5 wave up, I think at that point you still need to be patient and careful and wait for the next phase on the downside. If this is going to be a very strong move down, it's going to be actually a very bad sign, confirming this is overall an ABC flat. On the other hand, if you get a very slow and choppy move down, which is a very important characteristic of a correction structure, you know what, fair enough, that can be an optimistic sign suggesting the low is already in. The point that I'm trying to make is this: do not be overwhelmingly bullish or bearish. Simply manage your expectations and let's take every single thing step by step at the moment and see where are we going to go next. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in VeChain. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.